get chicks off to a good start, we've set up a brooding area in a corner of a barn that's separate from the older birds. I recommend 3 to 4 square feet per bird started. In this case, we're going to be starting 25 birds, and so you need 75 square feet. We've set up a brooding area here that's 9 feet by 9 feet that gives you 81 square feet, which is a little over what we recommend. The second area is make sure that it's secure and free from predators. The next rule is to make sure when you're working with the birds, start with the younger birds and work with them first, and then move to the older birds. You don't want to be tracking any of the diseases or parasites or infections from the older birds back to the younger birds. What you want to do is you want to set up 48 hours ahead of time, and you want to clean and disinfect the area and any feeders and waterers that you're going to be using, and make sure that it's all set up and ready to go so when the chicks come, everything's in perfect working order. We've set up a heat lamp, and then around the heat lamp we have a brooder guard. There's about 2.5 to 3 feet radius from the heat lamp, and that way the birds can huddle underneath the heat lamp, or they can move away from the heat lamp and get a little bit of exercise to get them off to a good start. We set the heat lamp about 20 inches above the litter, and then we monitor the temperature. What you want is a comfort zone around the heat lamp, and that comfort zone for the first week needs to be around 90 to 95 degrees. When you're ready to put the litter down, I recommend Eagle Valley bedding material. It's a pelleted wood product out of Canada, and the reason I like it is that it's all natural, it's very absorbent, and it keeps the whole brooding area very dry and relatively odor-free. I like to put down bedding material so that it's about 3 to 4 inches deep. For starting chicks, I particularly like to use a 1-quart waterer. This particular one's made by Little Giant, and it's an excellent waterer to start young chicks because it's plastic, easy to clean, and when we're placing these, we place them on the outside of the comfort zone so that the birds have readily access to the waterer, and that the water doesn't get overheated. And again, what you want to make sure is you put the waterers out 24 hours prior to the chicks arriving so that the water is at room temperature around 80 degrees because cold water discourages drinking. Then I put the chicks in the brooding area, and so without the feed. And that way the chicks have a couple hours to drink, rehydrate themselves before they start eating. Next, we need to consider feed. I like to use Purina Start and Grow Sunfresh recipe. It's an all-natural product containing plant ingredients. It doesn't contain any chemicals or fillers or animal byproducts. The first thing to do is make sure that there's lots of feeders around, and I like to use a low-lying type of a feeder, a trough feeder. I also like to put feed in egg cartons. It's good to allow 4 linear inches of feeder space per bird to get chicks off to a good start. Waterers and feeders should be emptied and cleaned and refilled every day. It's also important to make sure that any damp litter around the waterer is removed and replaced with fresh, dry litter. Once the birds are in, what you want to do is monitor it a couple times a day to make sure that the birds are evenly distributed. It gets them up drinking, which is very important. It gets them up eating, and more importantly, gets them up exercising, and that's just another tip to get them off to a good start. Chicks hatched in the spring in a barn like this, the light should be on for 24 hours a day for the first couple of days, and then it can be reduced to 18 hours a day for the next couple of weeks. And by the third week, you can reduce it to 16 hours and keep it at 16 hours for the duration of the growing period. Light can be supplied for an area such as this by 2 40-watt bulbs, and you don't need to go any higher than that, but 2 40-watt bulbs will give enough light for the birds to get up and eat and drink. As the birds grow older, the brooder ring can be expanded, the heat lamp elevated, so that you're reducing the temperature of the brooding area about 5 degrees per week until you reach a minimum of about 55 degrees. As the birds get older, you want to raise the height of the feeders and waterers, and so they're right at the back of the birds. And this way, it keeps them an awful lot cleaner, and there's less contamination from the chicks kicking up any litter into the feeders and waterers. Cleanliness and dryness are the keys to success to getting chicks off to a good start.